those of you who listen every week, I had to have a week off. We had to have a week off last week. We, meaning me and everybody else that is my family that I pester and give them a hard time about subjects. What do you think? What do you think? But, you know, it's nice to have a team of friends and family who support you, because everybody assumes that these live things that we do and come up with these subjects are just there. No, we have to pull it out of the bag because we know so much. You know, I'm a motivator, transformational coach and everything, journalist and everything that goes with it. But sometimes you can be so far ahead of your audience that you've got to reel yourself back in. And this particular subject that we're talking about today is called positive self-talk. And the reason it came about is because I was having a conversation with a friend of mine and reminded her that no matter how much I know, and also no matter how much I'm read and I've got the qualifications, there are times when you do doubt yourself. There are times when you say, I'm not sure about that, or you go back on the thing that you said you would never do, you know. So quite often you've got to home in, you've got to pull it in. And so I decided to talk to, I wanted two men, because specifically because they work with young men, well, men and young men. And I want that in particular, because I believe that women can self-motivate, or they have other people that they speak to, other women. But guys tend to hold it in on their own. And I think it would be nice if we could speak to men who can then motivate other people. It's not just all about women, we are family. So I invited Action Jackson, who I know from London, England. We were on the same channel or some motivational thing that I do. And I remember listening to him and thinking, oh yeah. And I did put it out there to the Facebook audience saying, who is your motivator? Who would you put up? And names came up, and of course Action Jackson came up a few times. So thank you people for recommending him, because I reached out and he's here. Welcome to the Let's Talk with Cheerleader and Dixon, Action Jackson.
It's a pleasure to be here. This is an amazing opportunity. I'm so fascinated at the fact that, you know, I'm in the UK and you're over there in lovely sunny Jamaica, and Guyana, and Lavar is in Pennsylvania as well. So it's beautiful to be here today. Honestly, big massive shout out to everybody wherever you are watching from. You know, my name is Action Jackson. I'm the UK ambassador for happiness. And my job is simple. I've got to make people happy about their lives. And I'm very busy right now because the world needs a bit more happiness as we speak. So it's a pleasure to be here to this afternoon, evening, morning, depending on where you're watching.
Good day.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the second person is Lavar Thomas, who I found out we are related. He's Guyanese. Although we've never met. Then the Guyanese, well, it's Boller's side of the family, because obviously there's two sides to the family, right? And yes. And you were recommended, and I said, yeah, why not? A younger man, and it's good to get the perspective from a younger man as well. So welcome to Let's Talk with Cheerleader and Dixon.
Thank you, Sharon. Such a great opportunity to be a part of this platform and to connect with people all around the world right now. And self-talk is one of those things where we all struggle with, you know, there are times when we want to go about something and that voice shows up saying, why do you want to do this? You're not good enough. So with the work of Empower for Greatness and as a co-founder of Leaders of the Free World, I work with students, entrepreneurs, and aspiring leaders to really push past those self-limiting beliefs, helping them to understand what's standing in their way from being their best selves and showing up as the leaders that they were destined to become. So I'm really excited to share some insights today on this conversation about self-talk.
Good. Well, you know, people are sending questions already, and I'm trying to do two or three things at once. So here we go. Let me find my questions. Okay. So when I talked about the power of positive self-talk, and I was trying to tell this lady that there are many times that I've walked through big doors, really, really big doors, but was nervous. Like when I went to number 10 Downing Street, and there were all the other editors there, and they were quite la-di-da. Jackson, you know what I mean when I say that, very uppity. And there was the editor of Vogue and the editor of this, you know, all the big names. And there was me, one little black lady in the room. And I had just gone locks, I just started locksing. So there was these locks twined up on my head, and I think they thought it was radical, the story that's out today, that the little boy, a little girl has been banned from a school in Jamaica because of her natural hair. Well, at that time it was worse. But now obviously we've got it with a black school mistress saying that locks is not good, it's not healthy, it's not clean. And I just sort of wonder, 20 years on, I think, or 30 years on, we're in the same place. How do people cope with these things that are out now in the universe, of telling people that they're not good enough? They're not, it's like a running dialogue in our heads. All the things, we're not good enough, we can't do this, we can't do that. What's your take on that? Let's start with Action Jackson.
Well, thank you very much for that. Do you know what? With everything that's happening, when a child is born, they come to this planet as a blank canvas, and it's our responsibility as adults, educators, parents, to pour the best in them, because whatever you live, you start to learn. Whatever you live, you start to learn. So when we start living in an environment that is constantly negative, we start to think and believe that that is the narrative that we're supposed to live out. So imagine that you're an actor, that's your script. Your script is, because you're short, you can't make it, or because you're black, you can't make it, or because your parents come from this background, you can't make it. So what happens is we take on all these negative narratives. Now, what we don't realize is this: the subconscious mind, we work with two things, your conscious and your subconscious. Your subconscious mind never forgets anything. It stores every narrative that you've ever experienced. That's why you can walk into number 10 Downing Street and feel a sense of, ooh, do I belong here? Because at some point along the line, you've had that thought of, do I belong here? Am I good enough? And that just rolls up again. So our environment, the environment we live in, and the environment that we actually put ourselves in, can actually play a lot in terms of how we see ourselves and how we see the world around us. Some kids who are brought up in a poverty background are told, hey, why are you spending that? Stop spending that. We made of money. Money doesn't grow on trees. Whereas there's other people who grew up in a background that says you can have whatever you want. Even if that child grows up in a very opulent society, he or she will still be thinking, I can't afford this, I can't do that. So our environment plays an important part in who we are. When I say environment, not just your physical environment, but your mental environment as well. That's why I say to people, be very careful what you watch, because the films you watch can either reinforce how you see yourself. So mental environment and physical environment plays a big part in this whole journey of self-worth.
Yeah, because if you ever gone to bed watching a film, I'm speaking to you, the audience, watching a film, and it's a film of murder and somebody beating you up and whatever, and then you wake up in the middle of the night hyperventilating because you're actually in your sleep, you're acting out that role, and that's the same with life, isn't it? Lavar, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I think Action Jackson hit the nail on the head. Our environments play such a crucial part in helping us to develop our personal self-concept. And when we think about our environments and the experience that we go through, our mind begins to funnel those experiences into the self-concept and the subconscious mind, sorry, and really allows you to begin thinking, is this really true? Are these things that I'm thinking about myself, are they real? How other people view me, how I interpret those ideas. We begin to create our own form of self-concept. And what really affects people is expectations, what we expect for ourselves and what others expect from us. And if you're not careful, it's sometimes hard to delineate between the two, because you begin to internalize the opinions of other people. Now, I've read a number of things where, you know, we become what we think about constantly, right? When you think about The Secret, when you think about Think and Grow Rich, and a number of authors who have, you know, specialized on the mindset, we become what we think about. And if we're not careful, we begin to take as fact what other people project upon us. So we internalize other people's self-limiting beliefs. And it's so dangerous when we do that, because if someone tells me, you know, Lavar, you're not capable of doing a TED Talk, or Lavar, you're not capable of this job opportunity or starting your own business, it tends to come from a place of someone else's limitations. It's so easy to project limitations upon other people, and you have to really take guard of those ideas and those thoughts, because as soon as they go into the subconscious mind, it becomes autonomous. I'm sure there are times that you've been driving in your car and you kind of just daze off. And next thing you're thinking about what to eat for dinner, and you're driving, and you're thinking about what to do next. And you're literally in the car in autopilot.
Yes.
And the subconscious mind is driving you. So what thoughts within your subconscious mind that may not be as positive is driving you, is driving your results, is driving how you see yourself and how you're interacting and navigating the world. So it really goes back to not only assessing your external environment, but also the internal environment, as Action Jackson has stated.
And Lavar, one of the things that I was reading, because I thought I'll read back some of my notes that I speak on. And one of the things that came up in one of the seminars that I did, it was children, the things that people say to children. And I really want you guys to talk about this, because especially when, you know, I've listened to some people sort of say, oh, she's the bright one. In other words, the others are not bright. That one, she's the brains in the family. Well, you're saying indirectly when you speak to your children or the people around you that the others are not bright. Also, the fact is that we grow up, even as adults, thinking that maybe you're not as bright as those people. It was said when we were children. So obviously, as you grow up, you repeat the same things. Oh, she's the bright one, or that one, she good with your hands, but she's not good with books. Do you guys get what I mean? And I've asked people to come on here today and bring their children on, and we've got 24 people so far. Bring your children on, because some of the things these little kids that are growing up need to hear what you guys are talking about, because self-talk is the internal narrative that you hold about yourself. That's what you said, your inner voice. So I would like to ask you guys about the things that people say not just to themselves, but they say out aloud to family, and what's good and bad about, but what are the importance and the benefits of positive self-talk?
Wow. You know, I'll take you back to a story. I was 5 years old. We were in Nigeria, and in Nigeria, you get to plant things. And one day I was planting something in a pot, and my mom was there by the balcony. And the next door neighbor came across, and she said, "Oh, what's Jackson doing?" And my mom said, "Oh, he's planting something in a pot. Everything he touches prospers."
Right.
I was 5 years old. Obviously, I don't know what that meant, but that lodged in my subconscious mind. And since that day, it was like everything I touch must prosper. I must become successful. And that word was like a seed in the garden of my mind. That's why parents have to be super careful what they say to their kids, because what you say to the child can destroy the adults.
Yes.
It definitely can. So whether you're angry, watch your words. Watch your words. Even the jokes as well, because I think for some of our backgrounds, we tend to joke about, our looks or our intelligence. The subconscious mind cannot tell a joke. It doesn't know what's funny and what's not. It just has, your mind is designed to follow your command. So that's why we have to be very sensitive what we say to our kids, honestly.
Yes. You have to stop telling them you're stupid. Stop telling them, you know, all the negative, you ain't good at that. We
Yes.
have to learn to rephrase our sentences in the way that we speak to people, not just children. You know, it's something that we have to keep on learning over and over again, because we can't forget that we're not supposed to say these things. Lavar, what do you say about always projecting the positive self-talk to children, particularly?
Yeah, as Action Jackson was sharing his story, what came to me was an experience I had in high school when we're preparing for college and everyone has to take their standardized exams. And I did terribly on my exam to the point where I got rejected from most of the colleges that I'd applied to. So you could imagine, as an 18-year-old at the time, how lost I felt, where everyone is getting their acceptance letters into college and I'm just getting rejection after rejection after rejection.
Yes.
And what that did for me was like, man, am I really smart? Like, am I really capable of going to college? Like, this reality made me feel like I wasn't good enough.
Right.
And looking back, years down the line, we have to kind of teach our youth to separate who they are from what they do. I think within educational institutions, we somehow define our worth by grades and, what course of direction you take, but those things are just marginal things compared to what we're truly worth, our ability to perform and achieve. So it's getting us to get clear about what it is that we're really good at, and understanding that, okay, I can do bad on an exam, but it doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It doesn't mean that I'm not good enough. It doesn't mean that I'm not smart or I'm not capable of doing great things. It just means that maybe I had a little test anxiety. Putting these things into perspective and really beginning to place visions and insights into the youth's mind. Not just saying, this exam is the end all be all, but it's a mean to an end. And it's not the only way for you to succeed, that you can dream, you can envision, you can think ideas and have all these different experiences, and you can be successful, and not allowing this one outcome to kind of determine who you are. So when I think about the positive self-talk, it's those experiences that happened years ago that still show up.
Yes.
It still shows up when I want to go after an opportunity. I'm like, Lavar, you're not good enough. And I'm like, where are these thoughts coming from? Like, I literally just had a breakthrough experience and these same thoughts from 15 years ago is still coming back in,
And, it comes through not just in work, it comes through in relationship. Action Jackson. When we talk about I was listening to a really great talk earlier on by another guy, and he was talking about in relationships, a lot of it is self-love, understanding yourself and giving the love to yourself so that you can understand your flaws, your weaknesses, your strengths and your weaknesses. Because unless you understand your strengths and understand your weaknesses, then you can't give of yourself to another human being. And that's why some people fail in love relationship. And what do you say, Action?
No, it's so important, because inside every mind there is the critic and the cheerleader.
Yes.
Now, the critic gets built from day one, and the cheerleader doesn't get as much in there. So as you grow up listening to the critic, you yourself become self-critical, and then that's where we begin to develop self-hate. Now, when you then go into a relationship where you're supposed to add value, you're now wanting to get value from that relationship. That self-hate says, I don't think I'm good enough. Lavar says, when I failed all these tests, the critic was like, whoa, dude, I don't think you're that good. The cheerleader is just sitting there like, instead of really reshaping the narrative to say, hey, this is my journey, I'm going to bounce back. So in relationship, whether it be a romantic relationship or relationship with parents and children, it's so important to big up the cheerleader. There are times I look in the mirror and say, Action Jackson, you are amazing. I am proud of you. You did a great job. I say that to myself. I could do a talk to 500 kids in the room, and the kids are saying, yo, that was amazing. I'll go into the toilet and look myself in the mirror and say, well done. Because it's easy for the critic to say, oh, you didn't finish all your slide, and you didn't do that, you didn't do that, because the brain is like a negative Velcro. So I have to consciously build the muscle of the cheerleader. I've got on my wall, I am enough. I give myself permission to be my best self. I say it to myself every day. So build the cheerleader in you and silence the critic.
Yeah, because then you as I started off by saying, even although we're motivators, we're concentrating on the little things. I mean, obviously you have to do that. You got to check that you haven't got the thing that bothers you, that one gray hair, or you've done your eyebrows as a woman, one above the other, or your lipstick's on your teeth. Those are basic things. But the things that you really should concentrate on is that you walked out of the door to go to that event, that you stood on stage, or it could be a wedding, or it could be a christening, and you made a speech to a camera, because there are many who can't do that. So we're talking about standing on stage, but I'm talking about the normal everyday person, the basic little thing that you save £10 or $10 at the end of the week, so that you can put it towards it. Last night I gave a young lad some, $1,000. Sounds like a lot of money, but it's probably about £5 or something. But he was so good in talking to his mother about it, that he was putting it, he's saving to buy something special with it. And it's the little things that you do. And then when she told me this morning, I was like, oh my God, well, I want to give him another 5, because it showed that he was grateful. But it's about feeling good about yourself at all times, and also giving yourself praise for the little things that you do. It doesn't have to be major things. One of the importance and benefits of self-talk, it says in my research, is that positive self-talk is important for a number of reasons, from helping to overcome body dysmorphia, to sports performance, meditating, anxiety, and depression, because we don't realize that depression comes from negative self-talk. And to be more effective in learning, positive self-talk can make the world so much different, because you see things in a different way. Positive self-talk can help to reduce stress, believe it or not. It can boost confidence and resilience. Do one of you want to share how maybe it affects you? Jackson, you spoke about it makes you feel better, but can you give me an idea, or the viewers an idea of how much the challenges of stressful situations may have affected you?
Well, yeah. So, I mean, whenever you enter a situation, your brain switches on, because you got to remember that the brain was actually designed to keep you alive. And so it's always looking out for danger, so that it can alert you to respond. Now, most of the things that are happening aren't physical danger, it's perceived, fear and negativity. So when you enter the scenario, the first thing you need to do is stop, breathe, redefine. Stop, breathe, redefine. Stop, breathe, redefine. Now, I would actually add there, stop, breathe, smile, then redefine. So when you stop, breathe, smile, it's like, all right, cool. Like, I'll give you an example. I was getting ready to do a talk, and I had my PowerPoints ready. Everything's all set, plugged in the laptop. It won't come on. So I was like, okay, cool, right, stop, breathe, smile, then redefine. It's like, you know what? I know my message. Let's go out there and give everybody a good time. The second I said that, my brain received the command. See, I'm the commander of my mind. It does what I tell it to do. This is what I want everybody that's watching to say right now. I am the commander of my mind. It does what I tell it to do. I, Jackson, I'm the commander of my mind. My mind does what I tell it to do. The second you do that, your brain won't hijack you. It's going to just wait silently until you give it the command. So whenever what people have done is they've allowed external circumstances to hijack their brain, hijack their emotion, and that's where you get panic attacks from. That's where you get, sweating palms, headaches, and then all of a sudden people say, I've got panic attack. Well, that's because you've given control over to the external world. So I would challenge everybody to do this mantra. I am the commander of my mind. I tell it what to do. I am the commander of my mind. I tell it what to do. The second you keep saying that to yourself 21 times in the morning, 21 times in the afternoon, 21 times in the evening, 21 times before you go to bed, when you wake up in the morning, your brain's going to say to you, Your Royal Highness, what would you like us to do today?
I love that.
Royal Highness, yes, I like that. I like that. So, Lavar, have you ever been in a situation? I'm still smiling at that. I'm going to practice that one. I like that. Lavar, have you ever been in a situation where you just thought, the world's coming to an end? How can I deal with this? And it brought about a stressful situation. How did you deal with it?
Yeah, I remember. So I served in the Peace Corps from 2014 to 2016 in Rwanda. And I remember I was working towards building a community library. And I'm working with all these stakeholders and these partnerships. And because illiteracy was a huge issue in my particular village, I'm like, this library is going to make a whole of a difference for students that don't have access to books, teachers that don't have the resources to instruct their classes. So I am working with all these different stakeholders. I'm putting up drives. I'm doing global fundraising campaigns. I'm come across an organization that's building a youth center. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to partner with them and make this kind of a revolutionary information hub for my community. Teaching financial literacy and English language courses and certification courses for rural villages. And literally maybe 3 weeks before closing in on this project, this organization loses funding and they had to relocate, and now the project falls to the ground. Now, I'm like, holy crap, like what's gonna happen? So many people have been waiting for this project to take off so it can kind of change some of these issues in the community and address some of the problems. And as you all can imagine, those thoughts start to seep back in my head again. And like, how could you even think that you could get this thing off the ground? What's wrong with you? You thought that Murphy's Law, anything that could go wrong went wrong with this project, especially when I was optimistic and hopeful with how things were coming together. And literally I had to kind of become still. I had to center my thoughts and tell myself, Lavar, you are enough. You are enough. Despite what this outcome is, you are enough. Despite what people may be thinking about you or how you've tied your worth to this project, you are enough. And I think, and anytime I'm in crisis and I feel like my self-concept is going down the drain, I tell myself I'm enough, because there's nothing that can possibly happen that can diminish the value that God has placed in me already. So I start from that place. And when that happens, a boost of confidence hits me, where I'm then able to then change the situation around and seek other ways of adding value. And from that library project, that collapsing, I started working with mothers and helping them to address malnutrition issues in the community. So we started training mothers and going into rural villages and training local leaders in how to address this food security issue. And literally it spread like wildfire from this one point of brokenness to a point of taking that and turning it into a way of empowering others to be their own superheroes and helping them to know that they're enough. And literally from any situation I find my back against the wall, I remind myself that I'm enough. I have the experiences that have led me to this point that can drive me and drive the change that I'm seeking and the person I'm striving to become. So for those who are looking, tell yourself every day that you are enough.
Come
We don't
on.
hear that enough, because you turn on the TV, you're told you're not enough. You go to the magazine brochure, and who you see? You see someone who doesn't look like you, so you can't relate. You're not enough. You get overlooked for promotions. You're not enough. So if you don't become your own personal cheerleader, as Action Jackson said, then you're your own biggest critic. I like to think of the mind as a vehicle that drives you to where you want to go. Now, if you look at the vehicle, the only vehicle that you have, and you're slashing the tires and you're kicking the doors, the vehicle can't go anywhere. So if that's the vehicle that you have to cherish that vehicle, because that's what it takes to get you to where you're trying to go. And I do that by telling myself that I am enough.
I like that. I am enough. I am enough. I'm going to read some before I go on to the next section. I'm going to read and welcome some of the people that are on here, because it's a nice little audience. Lavelda Vincenzi. Lavelda Vincenzi. I'm not good at names, so it's quite good that I got that. After 1,000 says, hey, wonderful. Dawn Martin says, you would have stood out amongst all the other editors. Yeah, I would have, because I was black. But I stood out because I was confident. I was confident. I was a very confident person outwardly. It's just that one little something in my head that was saying, oh, you know, they don't like me, you know, because we're taught that maybe the white editors don't like us. So I was playing that in my mind, and I had to regurgitate that I was good enough. In fact, I think I was saying I was better than them. And that got me all right. Dawn Martin, Patricia Parker says, oh, hi, that's Aaron. Oh, lovely cousins on here. Dawn Martin, the negative internal voice can stop us from stepping into our own purpose if we allow it. You have to be very careful with what you speak to into a child's life. I totally agree with that. Nakasi Ruth, hi, how you doing? Sean Bollers, family, Afro Townsend, and 7 other people watching. Jeanette, hello, pleasant good day to you and the team. Fire! Somebody put up. So, hey, and we've got Myrna Bollers. It's like the Bollers are taking over. Cara Beresford, Roxanne Rose Beckles. Goodness, the whole family is on here. We've got people watching. Roxroy West. I really needed to hear this. Thank you. Thank you so much. And for me, that pleases my heart, because I hear so many men who are suffering with lack of self-worth, lack of motivation. And it always happens perhaps when in relationship, when a guy is down, when he's not feeling good, that he tells himself, well, I wasn't good enough for her. Can you guys address that, especially in relationships?
It's interesting when we're playing sports and we're down 2-0 or we're down by 30 points, whatever. No one sits and says, oh, well, that's it. We bounce back and we go out there and we fight to win. And I think one of the things we need to understand that whenever we're in a space of a relationship, or wherever you are as a man watching this, how you define yourself will determine how you live with yourself.
Yes.
If you define yourself as, listen, I am the king of this castle, my job is to love, to provide and protect. And even if I can't provide, let me try and find my best possible way to make this happen. And I think it's how we define ourselves. And here's one thing. I'm celebrating my 6th year wedding anniversary today.
What did you say? What?
6th year anniversary, wedding anniversary today. My wife and I. And thank you. And one of the beautiful things about being in a marriage is this: my wife sees everything that I'm supposed to do right. Why do you drop that there? You're not 10 years old, blah, 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 blah. And whenever she says it, it gets my back up against the wall. But then the commander in me says, is she trying to build you or destroy you?
Yes.
And then I answer, she's actually trying to build you because, hey, Mr. Motivational Speaker, would your clients like to see that this is the habits you have behind the closed doors? And I have my own self-talk, and then I have to quickly admit to the fact that, you know what? She's trying to build me. Don't ever, as a man, think that the money in your bank account or the accolades that you have or your car or however many trophies you have are the things that define you. You define you. The word self-esteem, the word esteem in Latin means self-estimation, meaning you decide your worth. No one else does. So if you say in your head, because I don't have a job, I'm nothing. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. I don't have a job. I can make something happen. I will find, so I will find, if there's no way, I will find a way to find a way. I'm the commander of my mind. I tell it what to do. So to all the men that's out there, please, number one, I would say to you, reach out to another guy who you respect. You might not want to reach out to the lady because you think, oh, my self-worth is down. She's not stupid. She sees what's happening. And please accept help from the females around us. They see what we don't see. I'm a great and successful businessman because my wife sees things that I don't see. So we work as a partnership. So please, please, please be a commander of your mind, man.
I'd
Yeah.
like to send this congratulations to her because number one, she's a black woman celebrating a black man and telling him, you know, he's good enough. And the anniversary thing, tell her I said happy anniversary.
Yes, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
What do you say, Lavar?
You know, I think Action Jackson touched a lot of important points. I think we have to stop pushing this idea of like a flawed masculinity model, right? Men can't cry. We can't be emotional. We can't feel things, right? We have to somehow be resilient, be the strong, this kind of strong robotic individual where you just go from experience to experience and breaking through walls, and like that's not realistic. So if we continue to show up that way and we're not able to say, you know, so today I'm not feeling great, today I feel like crying, today I'm sad, and developing a toolkit to express ourselves and humanizing our experiences, you know, I feel like in relationships, that's what partners are looking for in their partner. They want someone to be human, to reason with them, to express their feelings. And as men, sometimes we're not able to because we've been taught that we're not supposed to do those things. Yes. We're not supposed to be seen as weak. You know, we're supposed to be this type A individual where we're bringing in the money, we're providing, and we're busy. But then it causes us to overlook issues of depression. You know, it causes us to burn ourselves out. You know, it prevents us from actually seeking help because we feel like we can be resilient in every and all things. Yeah. So, I work with students, and the number one thing that they're afraid to ask for is help. You know, they're afraid to ask for help because they don't want to come off as being too vulnerable, or, you know, their ego has created the self-concept where it's like, you know what, I can do this by myself. You know, I can solve these problems on my own. And by the time they ask for help, their situation is at a point where you can't even help them. Yes. Because the building's on fire. Yeah. You know, so I think we have to learn how to kind of contextualize our experiences, telling ourselves that it's okay to have emotions. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel these things because they help actually self-actualize ourselves. You know, when you're able to go through experience and feel emotions, when you tell yourself, I am enough, nothing shifts until you feel goosebumps going through your body. You feel the hairs on your skin raising and you continue to say it. That's why Action Jackson said you have to say these things 21 times in the morning, the noon, the night, because when you say the first 5 times, your mind doesn't believe it. Yeah. You don't believe it at all. So the more you tell yourself that, you begin to feel it radiate through your body, and it releases an energy that makes it shift. So, you know, for the men listening, you know, this idea of that men can't have emotions, we have to discard it, because then we create more generations of brokenness.
Because it's carrying on and on and on. You've got some comments on here. Herbert Follows says, I agree with all the negative comments that we face daily. You have to find sanctuary within you and be around positive minded people. So choose, as Action Jackson started, when we have to choose what we put into our minds. Not just the film, it comes with the people that we also surround ourselves with. Junette says, great You know, it's still a great piece of advice. We've got some young, very young people on here, guys. So that's really great.
Awesome.
I'm sure young boy is 30. Probably got that wrong, and I'm going to get a text saying, "No, I'm not 13." They like the "Yes, I am enough." And Annalise Smith says, "Yes, I am enough." And the young boy's name is Shaquan. I should have called him by his name. Um, um, Happy anniversary, of course. It's a full-time job, says Shirley Collymore. It's a full-time job to make positive self-talk a new habit. The good thing is that like any discipline, the heavy lifting will build muscle. It's its own new roads in our mind, its own new roads in our mind until this becomes the new normal. Yes, and we're talking about the new normal, right? Cara Beresford says that's so true. And you've got other families. Zoe Hutchinson, Caesar is here, and Roxana Braithwaite is here. I wanted to go on next to talk about if you could give us examples of positive self-talk. Because it's easy us saying self-talk, be positive, say I am positive, I'm good at this, but there must be more to it. Can you give us any examples, please, guys?
Well, do you know the funny thing is, the word, I mean, Lavar was saying, I am enough. I'm in my office right now and I've got on the wall, I am enough.
Right.
Because every issue, drink issue, money issue, relationship issue, every issue that anyone's ever gone and faced is simply because they don't believe that they are enough. So they try to fill this vacuum with stuff. And when they fill it, they realize, oh, well, now how do we begin to feel? Well, we feel by thoughts. Where do thoughts come from? Words. Two things control your life: the words you speak and the pictures you form in your mind. That's it. That's it. Now, if you can begin to repeat those words to yourself, I am enough. I am enough. I am enough. I was doing a coaching session with two boys just on Friday, and that was their assignment. I am enough. I give myself permission to live my best life. And I said to them, we're going to repeat it 81 times.
Yeah.
And on the Zoom call, I got them to start repeating it. Now, I said, was it getting boring? They're like, yeah. I'm like, let's do it again. What I know what's going to happen that night, as they're sleeping, their subconscious mind hijacks their brain and starts repeating the same thing. It literally is as simple as saying those words to yourself. And this is what I would say to everybody. Go and start what I call a victory log. A victory log is a log of all the things you've ever achieved to date. I don't care how silly it is, because you need evidence of victory. So when your brain tells you you're not good enough, you say, brain, shut up. Do you not see this?
Yeah.
Do you not see this? Because if you're going to incriminate someone in a court of law, you need to gather what? Evidence. The problem is we don't gather enough evidence and we don't repeat the evidence to ourselves.
Yes.
Like the office I'm in, I built the office myself. I didn't want to hire anybody. I laid the floor, I painted the walls. So every time I walk in here, this is a reminder of I did this.
Yeah, yeah.
So I really believe in evidence of victory, your victory log, and that Lavar says, I am enough. Put it on your wall, put it on your phone, record it, get your phone, record it on your phone, and then play it to yourself before you go to bed.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Before I come to you, Lavar, I've written down 2 today that I like, that I want to say to myself. And I have been saying, because I've said all the others and I'm bored with them, because I actually do believe them that I am good enough. I've written down, I have the power to change my mind. I have the power to change my mind. And attempting to do this took courage, because everything that I do, I've left. I gave up being a magazine editor, and then I went into being a motivational speaker, and now I'm here in the Caribbean, sitting here in front of you guys doing webinars, and all that takes energy, and sometimes it's frightening. Sometimes I'm like, why did I put myself in this place? And I wrote in my diary today, attempting to do this took courage. And I am so proud of myself for trying. So those are my two. So
I love it. I love it.
maybe
I love it.
It's
if you
beautiful.
guys are listening on here, obviously I know you are because I can see how many of you are still here. Um, and we will get a lot more listening after we finished. Um, write something in your diary or write it on a piece of paper, it doesn't matter where, and stick it somewhere to remind yourself that, you know, you could say things like, I might have a way to go, but I'm proud of how far I've come already. Because sometimes the project's not finished, like my book. My book's not finished. It should have been finished years ago. Something's stopping me, but whatever I've written so far, I've come a long way. So those, it's simple. It doesn't have to be sort of so broad. It can be just how you feel. You went shopping and you saved £5. I am good at what I'm doing. Say things like that. Lavar, I hope I didn't say all the things that you wanted.
No, that was wonderful. Yeah. On my wall, I recently wrote down that the journey is not about perfection, but about progress.
Yeah.
And I remind myself that because I have this perfectionist tendency to make sure that 150% is completed before I get started. I need all the resources now before I can start. And I'm like, that's not true. You have to start to get the job done. You know, the job doesn't get done before you start. So trying to overcome that perfection tendency, because as I write my book as well, that's the thing that shows up for me. Like you feel like you need all these experiences. You need to be in the perfect role, and you need your company needs to be bringing in this amount of money for you to share your experiences with the world, and that's not true. So making sure that you're getting out of your own way is key. In terms of steps and systems, putting systems in place to overcome those self-limiting beliefs and kind of increasing the self-positive talk, it's something that I really admire about Lisa Nichols. She's a great transformational leadership coach. And I went to one of her conferences, and she had us identify the lies we tell ourselves. And I think that is so important because, as Action Jackson mentioned, when you have to kind of track your successes, because when you track your successes, you're able to remind yourself in times when your mind is trying to sabotage your results. You say, no, not at all. Like I showed up 5 days a week at the gym today. I ate healthy. Like those things are important markers for you to pat yourself on the back and say, good job. But if you're waiting for you to lose 50 pounds, you may never get there because you overlook that, hey, I lost 2 pounds today. I lost 8 pounds last week. And over a period of time, it adds up to 50. But we're looking at this big marker that we're overlooking the small achievements that we're having. So I would say, look, track the small achievements that you're getting in your life, the small results that you're getting. Celebrate that. Identify a list, 10 to 15 things of ideas, beliefs that you hold true about yourself, positive and negative. And for every negative belief that you hold true, cross it out and write the opposite. So if you feel like you're not good enough, on the line after, I am good enough. If you feel like you can't start your own business, I can start my own business. If you feel like you can't earn $1 million, I will be a millionaire by this date. And you sign your name. You create your personal life contract for yourself that you hold yourself accountable to. Because if you think about in your everyday life, you're accountable to everyone else but yourself. If you tell somebody I'm going to be there at 3:00, I guarantee you that you're going to jump over bridges and climb mountains to ensure that you're there. But if you make a commitment to yourself, why don't you hold it to the same level as you do for other areas of your life? So just getting real clear about the lies that you're telling yourself, writing the opposite, tracking your small wins every day. Every day you should look back and say, you know what? Even though I didn't write this book, I wrote a chapter or I wrote a page. And that alone begins to plant seeds of positive energy that motivates you to continue to keep writing. Because if you say today, I'm gonna write a page, tomorrow I'm gonna write a page. At the end of 2 to 3 months, you might have a book. You might have 4 chapters looking back at it. But if you start off saying, I'm going to write this book, it's quite intimidating because there's all these expectations that come with the idea, how you have to show up, who's going to read it, all these different, your editor and the writer and the seller, all these people inside your mind are all trying to do the same job at the same time. And you have to literally assign roles. So again, get that list down, write those flawed ideas that you hold true for yourself, and replace that by truth, and also track your daily wins, because that allows you to kind of carry the momentum to the next day.
I love that. Thank you so much. I have one section left that I obviously reading people. I could keep you guys here all day. But I need to say hello to people as we go along. Jermaine Williams Beckles, she was on here and she talks about the same sort of thing, the positivity that she deals with here, stress and hair falling out, and she's on there. She says, love this. She asked, what is the evidence? That might be something one of you want to take up. Noah McCriff is here. Janice Jackson says the energy is more powerful than the words. It's June Gilbert is sharing. Patricia Parker, you can do all things through our God who created us. Enjoying this. And I think if that is your belief and you believe in God, and that's what you want to believe, then if that is your purpose, that is the thing that channels you to go ahead, then why not? Who am I to say that it's not about God, it's about you? Because, you know, everybody believes in a different thing. Here, there's a sentence, a paragraph here that I wrote. Before you begin to use positive self-talk, you really should identify how often and what type of negative thinking that you engage in. Once you understand this, you can make a start on retraining your thoughts. When I teach my people, I do this series that I do about, you know, understanding your power. And I say you have to learn first to personalize, meaning, you know, stop blaming, meaning you always say, some people always tend to say it's their fault. They take the blame for everything. Polarizing, meaning that you see things only as good or bad, and there's no gray areas or room even for a middle ground. Magnifying, meaning that you only focus on the bad or the negative in every scenario and dismiss everything that's good and positive. Have you ever, guys, ever spoke to somebody and you find out that they say, well, I'm not good at this. So I'll give you an example. I used to do that. I used to start off, well, I'm not really good at making cake. No, you know, they're talking about who's going to help out with the catering. I'm not good at that. I'm not good at that. But I never told anybody what I was good at, because I was so focused in trying to tell them what I wasn't good at. And I retrained and talked to people about retraining your mindset so that you say all your good things first. Oh, I'm an excellent speaker. Put me in the speaking department. I'll do that. I'm really good at writing. Put me in that area. So you redress the situation rather than talking about what you're good at. Nobody's born a cook. So why should I know how to cook? It's not something that I have to know. My parents didn't cook on my head. They called me Sherry, right? They chose the distilleries instead. But try to always say you're positive first is my point. Don't always say you're negatives.
No, that's so true. It's like Muhammad Ali. You know, he spoke, I am the greatest before he became the greatest.
Oh,
you know, he said it, he believed it, the world believed it, and he became it. So I think it is very important to actually make a list. The other day I was putting together, you know, people always ask me, where's your biography? We need to put it up. And I had to sort of, the same one I've been using for years, I haven't updated it. I said, why haven't you updated your biography? And I thought, oh, like Lavar said, these are some of the lies you're telling yourself. I haven't put on there that I've done a TED talk. I haven't put on there that I'm working on my second book. I haven't put on there that I've just become a dad 60 days ago. So I said, listen, you're going to big this up like you're number one on earth. And when I read it, I feel so powerful. I said, I want to hire this guy to come be my coach, you know. I'm going to be, listen, I'm the best in the house. I don't care about you. I don't know what you think about yourself, but I am all that and a bag of chips. Because you have to own your stuff. Because if you don't own you, who's going to own you? Who's going to own you? I say, listen, confidence is currency. Even if you're not sure, be confident, because your confidence will bring you your competence. You know, no one's great at everything, but that's, I mean, I work a lot with coaching, one-to-one business coaching. And a lady called me the other day. We're just having a chat, and I realized that she has some issues. And I just went straight in there and confidently solved some of her problems. Now she's become a client. You know, I said, wow, how did that happen? I wasn't planning on signing her up, but because I was confident in owning my power, believed that I was enough, boom, magnet. So you've got to be your best cheerleader. Everybody should go and write a biography that, so that one day if they invite you to come and speak, you can send it to them.
And also, one of the things that I realize is that, Lavar, maybe you can help me out with this, identifying self-talk traps. Some situations might cause us to indulge in more negative self-talk than others. For example, an introvert might find negative self-talk crops up whenever they attend school events or networking. I'm talking about younger people. Negative self-talk. Remember when we wasn't good at this? Remember, they talk about all the negative things. Young people do that. How about, I mean, where you were working, you must have had to identify some of these traps and help people to, in their preparation for positiveness. Lavar.
Yeah, I often have to remind myself that these thoughts are not the end all be all. That you can change. If you're not good at something, you can practice, you can get better. Well, depending on, you know, what you're doing. If you're not great of a singer, maybe practice won't help me to sing any better than I sing currently. But but I think it's just getting to the point where you can change, that you can learn from mistakes, and that you can take the nuggets that you learn from that experience and bring it to another experience and have a totally complete different outcome. If I'm training for a marathon, I can't train in a week. I have to take months of training. I have to exercise. I have to change my diet. I have to change my thoughts. I have to hang around with people who are running marathons. I can't hang around with people who are running sprints anymore because we're running two different races. So there are all these different factors that I have to now consider as I'm rebranding and reshaping my mindset for this new outcome. And when I'm working with young people and they're convincing me of their limitations, I kind of have to make them aware that they are defending their limitations.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's not even like a consciousness. It's like, I'm not a good cook and I'll never be a good cook. Well, who told you that? You can go on YouTube and follow a few recipes and you can have a good dinner, but you're telling yourself from the jump that you're not good. And it's hard to convince someone against their will.
Right.
So it's really getting them to understand, you've been telling yourself this thought for how many years now? Maybe 20 years. And you've been getting the same results. Are you happy with those results? No, I'm unhappy with these results. Then how about you start pivoting this mindset? Let's introduce some new concepts and new ideas to help you to change the results you're getting. Because if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over, you're gonna get the same results. That's insanity. So it's like getting them to understand that you can change, that the environment that you grew up in, the circumstances you found yourself in, that's not the end. You can learn from that and you can create a new reality for yourself. But to create a new reality, you have to up level your associations. You got to start reading a few things that can re-inspire you, help you to develop a new self-concept that's not rooted in limitation, but in purpose and potential. And start from that place. And as time goes by, you begin to feel a little bit different about yourself. When those sabotaging traps come in and you say, you're not good enough. Well, you're like, that's not true. I am good enough. So shut up. You know, you tell that side to shut up, because now you've developed the muscle to talk back to it. Now, it might sound crazy talking to yourself, but sometimes you have to talk to yourself to speak to the subconscious mind. You know, you're speaking the truth about yourself. So when you write down those truths about yourself, and you're going through it daily, you're replanting a new framework for you to view your life and yourself through.
Yeah.
You have to do that continually.
Guys, you've been really great. We've been on here for an hour. Before we go, I'd like you to tell, I know that it's on the little flyer, but if you can just put in the thread, you know, the comments thread, you can put in how people can contact you, because I'm sure some people will want to, and maybe even to go to your website so that they can follow what you do. But before you go, I would like you to leave us with one thing that you feel is important that people, I know you've been talking about lots of things, but the one main thing that you want people to leave here with, that they can do to check in with their emotions, check in with their boundaries, you know? So action, Jackson, the one thing that you would say that they must put into place.
I would say every single morning in front of that mirror, I want you to go to that mirror and say, I am the commander of my mind. I tell it what to do. Now, today, you're going to have a great day. Get a marker and just put it in a corner of your mirror and say to yourself every day. That's what I've been doing. It's worked for me. I've used it to build my business, build myself. It's working for my marriage. It's simple, but it's effective. Mirror talk every single morning. Please do it. Please do it. Please do it.
Love that. Love that. Mirror talk. Because talking to the mirror helps you to, you're seeing a person, you're not just walking around. But if you don't like looking at yourself, that's another conversation we'll have to talk about. but saying that. And Lavar, what is yours?
I want everyone that's watching to recognize that you become what you think about. You become what you think about. So whatever ideas you hold in your mind, it's true because you believe it. Whatever you believe is true. So tell yourself that you are enough. Let's start from there. Get comfortable with telling yourself that you're enough, because in every space that you're a part of, every door you walk in, from the moment you leave your house, something is telling you that you're not enough. So you should leave your house with knowing that you are enough, that you have the abilities, you have the mindset, you are who you are, and you are enough. And you don't have to ask permission to be who you are. You just leave notice. And that's all I have to say about
yours. And I'm going to join you. So there's three of us in here. So there's 3 points. I'm going to say that you have to, don't be afraid to create boundaries. Sometimes there are people in our lives that don't bring out the best in us. We must accept that. And identifying self-talk traps us. Well, identifying self-talk might also mean identifying a person or two who encourage us. They encourage us to think negatively, not encourage us to think positively about ourselves and about situations. It's okay to create boundaries. We can move those boundaries more and more, because sometimes we do have boundaries, but then they become soft boundaries. Make some hard boundaries and find ways to remove these people or remove these issues of conversation. Focus on surrounding yourself with people who talk positively about you and to encourage you to do the same. That's my saying. Encourage people, be around people who see you positively, who are not going to keep on bringing negative talk to your space, because sometimes that can take you down another road. Guys, I really appreciate you coming on the Let's Talk with Sherry and Dixon. And you know I'm going to come back for you again. somewhere, sometime. And thank you for reacting so quickly, because some people are, just don't want to come on because they're shy. They're not shy, but you can't really be a motivator and be shy, can you?
There's a few of them out there, you know.
And you were great, giving us some great positive information. And on behalf of my guests, I'd like to thank you. Thank you so much for the nuggets that you shared here today. So, Action Jackson, go and pop that champagne or prosecco.
Of course. Do you know what? She surprised me with a cake, actually. Yeah, before I went to the shops, came back, and there was a big cake on the table. So yeah, there's gonna be cake and prosecco.
Well, it's Emancipation weekend here. Emancipation happened yesterday, but because it's a weekend, I'm just gonna go out there and just and do some nice dancing, not whining, dancing.
Why not? Why not?
I've learned about new family that I have, so that's really nice. And thank you, Herbert, for recommending you go out and have a great day. I don't know what type of time it is where you are. I know Action Jackson's nearly nighttime and you're daytime, but whatever you do, just have a wonderful and blessed day.
Thank you. This was great. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for listening in. All right. Thank you so much for coming every week. We have some loyal people here, and they're putting messages. You guys can look later on. And thank you for coming. Thank you for listening in to these two guys. Share. I need to ask you to do this. Can you share the video into different groups? Because other people need to learn from this. And if you don't share, if you don't, share what they said, then it's only a few. There's 25 people on here. I know as the days goes on, it goes up to thousands, but we're going 3,000, 2,000 every week. So share it to a friend so that a friend can learn and be better about his or herself. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for coming. Bye. Have a great rest of the day.